This UCF Knights edition of the Big 12 Experience on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by our Patreon. Score exclusive perks, contests, including our NFL win totals contest at a $1,000 prize. Join today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. We are also brought to you by our Parlay Play. The Parlay Play is a lead pipe locking in parlay player props. Go to parlayplay.io and use a promo code SGP for a 100 deposit bonus today. And welcome everybody back to the Big 12 College Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. We're talking the UCF Knights, aka the Central Florida Very Golden Knights. Shout out to our final newcomer in the Big 12. Go check out the other three previews with BYU, Houston, Cincinnati. We also got West Virginia, Iowa State, and Kansas done. So this is preview number 8, and we are previewing these Knights. Welcome to the Big 12, coming over from the American Conference. But first, I am Moneyline Mac, a.k.a. the former video coordinator for Bob Huggins and Frank Martin, and I am joined each and every episode by a guy that was born in Provo, Utah. He's got family in Ames, Iowa, and he lives in Morgantown, West Virginia. He's a walking contradiction. He is Rambling Rush. Hey, I like your backdrop, Rush. What's going on,
Thank you. Yeah, the beautiful bounce house. We like to give UCF fans a hard time. We know that they're the Knights, but, we got to call them the Mickey Mouse, very shiny, Golden Knights. They say they're the University of Central Florida. We're not Central Florida, which that's the part I don't get. But, of course, in the spirit of having fun with the newcomers, I wore wrong Knights. I had to throw on the Army shirt for this one. My UCF shirt's still coming in the mail, but meant well. We love you. We're glad you guys are part of the Big 12. And hey, there's a reason we're doing your preview right now, because as all the newcomers, you're ranked the highest. So hey, good for you, very shiny Golden Knights.
Indeed. And yeah, you know what? We'll take our jabs at you guys, because the more it bothers you, the more we're going to play along with it. So
and it's only
if you guys, and don't worry, Arizona State, they are more sensitive than you guys. So we're happy to have you in the Big 12. And yes, sneak peek, I think we're all pretty high on your football team down at the bounce house, and you're number 1, the Big 12. But third man in the box, batting in the 3-hole. He's always fighting a family civil war, whether it's between the Texas schools, Oklahoma schools. Got his seed everywhere, including Orlando at UCF and Cincinnati. He is the Big 12 guru, and I know he's excited to talk some Knights football here. Troy, what's going on, man?
Man, I got my unbuttoned shirt on, my puka shell necklace. I hope I'm trying to fit into the UCF look here. What a fun fucking place to go party. Orlando can be the absolute worst, especially Kissimmee if you try to get involved in Disney. But the downtown Orlando area and the UCF area, there's just a bunch of people that want to fucking party. And I can appreciate that. As much as I appreciate Morgantown, it's just... there's a whole nother level to it's not the drinking that goes up. It's the additional substances that really intrigue me.
Indeed.
I wonder what those could be, Troy.
I knew that you were going to be I knew you were going to love this episode. This is right up your alley.
Well,
I'm going
to be down there at the bounce house maybe for 2 games this year. So there's a possibility that I'm down there for the Baylor game, and they get to play Oklahoma State down there. So I'm thinking about, I know we're at least going to the Baylor one, but I'm thinking of the Oklahoma State game.
Well, you guys heard it there. Everybody watching on youtube.com/the college experience. Troy's Twitter handle's right there. So hit up Troy. He's coming down to the bounce house to Hey, have a little fun, have a little dust up there on the weekend.
Little dust up.
Dust ups. Yeah, no doubt. And let's talk about these Knights because Gus Malzahn, year number 3. Last year they finished 9-5, another good year. 7-7 against the spread, so kind of push if you bet on them all year. But they had some injuries, especially at the quarterback position with Plumlee. Recruiting is getting better and better as they head into the Big 12, and I think this is a sleeping giant. Rush, what are your thoughts on these Knights headed into the Big 12 in their inaugural year?
Well, I think they have the most upside to them. Maybe BYU, but for because of home field advantage for BYU, but for UCF they seem like they have everything going for them right now. They seem like they're the most ready for the Big 12. Hell, I mean, give them a couple years, right? We're starting to see different states kind of change who's really running that state in terms of college football. UCF has the highest enrollment. They're in Orlando. That place is nuts. I mean, I haven't been to the Bounce House yet. I had a conference there a couple years ago for work. Stumbled across downtown Orlando. Next thing you know, I was shotgunning some beers on stage. I'm like, oh, I thought I was here for work, right in front of all my coworkers. So hey, they liked it. It all worked out. It was that type of place. It's awesome. But I'll tell you what is, from a West Virginia fan, I'm really nervous. I know we'll get to the schedule here in a second. I'm really nervous about playing there. They're a good team. We can make fun of them all we want with the shiny Knights and Golden Knights. Of course, it's all for fun. But these guys need to be taken seriously, and these guys might be, give it a couple more years, the premier football team in Florida.
Yeah, I mean, I really think they've got a chance to be the premier football team in the state of Florida. Right in the middle, going to have all the money in the world. The fans are, I mean, when it comes to not giving a shit, the fans are good at doing that while still being in attendance. Like, they don't not show up because they don't care. They will show up not caring, but they're at least there. And all it takes is, one pretty good fan for every 200 or 300 random people that are there to start a little chant. And then before you know it, the whole stadium's getting into it. They like to do these things down in Orlando called Y bombs. And it's just a vodka Red Bull. But what they do is they bust open the bottom of the Red Bull like they're shotgunning a beer, and then the bartender will pour like 2 shots of vodka into the Red Bull, and then you got to flip it up and shotgun the vodka Red Bull. It makes sense as to why they're fired up, though. And I mean, it's definitely a sleeping giant program. I would even venture to say that the basketball program is a sleeping giant now that they're in the Big 12.
Hey, you know what's ironic? By the way, I want a Y-bomb after you describing that drink. They're making now, Florida State and Miami are rumored to be on the move here. I don't know when. It's a matter if and when, according to Florida State. UCF is currently getting more money on their TV deal than Florida State is. The irony, because the Big 12 deal is better than the ACC deal. So the only university in the state of Florida is the Gators right now that are making more money than these
how
Knights.
well have they been doing lately?
Yeah. It'll be interesting with Napier in year number 2, but Rush, you're absolutely right. Like, I mean, they've been down these last couple of years, so this could be the premier college football program in the state of Florida, in the Sunshine State, for years to come. We'll talk about it on the other side of this, previewing the 2023 UCF Knights, but I first got to talk about our sports gambling podcast Patreon, because you can get access to exclusive contests, including the NFL win totals contest with a $1,000 first place prize. Besides season-long contests, they also have weekly contests just for our own Patreons, plus a monthly SGP Stories podcast, completely ad-free and full behind the scenes from all these years at SGPN. I bet you there's a bunch of stories, maybe some Y-bombs involved in that. Hell, there's even a Discord channel just for all you patrons out there. And you can prevent corporate gambling by doing your part and fighting that fight for us today. Go to the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. That is the sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. And we are back talking UCF, very, very Golden Knights. Let's look at the betting odds for this year. Over under set at 6.5, 35-1 to win the Big 12, 300-1 to win the national championship. Shout out to Cameron Kerr for the graphic. You see UCF fans are third. on our logos on the bottom of our football field on youtube.com/college experience. Initial leans here, Rush. Do you like the over or under before we dive into this schedule in depth?
I think this is the ultimate tease. It's perfect. It's either going to be 6 or 7. That's what it's going to be. And I think we'll get to the schedule here, but I think the determining factor, if it's going to be 6 or 7, is whether they beat Boise State in Boise State. Yep. Oh, you put that up, Troy. Yeah, that's what you meant by week 2. I think that's the game right there already in week 2 for UCF. I do have a quick side note and reach out to us on Twitter. Reach out to Rambling Rush. Why do you guys want to be U first in your name? Like, you're the University of Central Florida. I'm not saying that you represent. I don't understand.
I
Troy,
can.
Can you? Okay.
Yes.
Please explain it to me, Troy.
You've never been to the real Central Florida.
No,
so
clearly I haven't.
Everybody that goes to visit goes to Orlando or Kissimmee. They don't ever get to go to Auburndale or Lakeland. The real Central Florida is as Texas, maybe even more. The only place that I think in terms of cattle production, Florida is just behind Texas. Okay. The Central Florida area, there's a huge Polk County that is in the middle.
Yeah.
And it is the biggest hick area. You can get away with anything if you're white. I mean, it is crazy. I say this from experience, not like out of trying to make a joke or anything. I've been there. Like I've seen a friend of mine when we're going the same speed down the highway, me go right by the cop and then the cop pull him over and me be like, well, I know why he got pulled over.
But I mean, you look at it geographically, Orlando is right there in the central part of the state for the most part. They want
the U so everybody knows that they're university students, not just like Gator wrestlers or.
I get that, but it's like you could apply that logic to West Virginia University. I want people to know I'm a student of West Virginia, not like someone living in the middle of nowhere. Like
yeah, but the difference between Morgantown and the rest of West Virginia is really not. I mean,
I see what you're saying.
There's a big, like the difference between Orlando and the rest of Central Florida is insane.
I can see that. Yeah,
it's like if North Virginia and Southern Maryland exist around DC, and it was then just like cow farming all around it. Orange groves.
Okay,
there you go. We were talking.
I think that's
about
as close as we'll get.
We were talking about the over/under win total.
They don't want to be embarrassed.
Geographical.
The name Central Florida, but I guess when it comes to my turn on the over/under, I'm really, really high on this football team being good, but their schedule sucks. I'm right off the bat. I'm leaning under actually.
I'm leaning under too. I think it comes down to that Boise State game. And sorry, I got confused, Ryan, with the other over/under is how many years it takes the Big 12 to put UCF from the top of the alphabet to the bottom of the alphabet. So those are the two over/unders you have to deal with UCF. And I just wanted a little more explanation why.
Well, then you can always ask the question, why is Oklahoma not UO?
Well, you can do the same thing with Colorado. They're CU, but they're the University of Colorado. And as Daniel Tosh said it best, they're so high all the time, they don't know where to put any of the letters.
Maybe that's UCF too.
Well, especially with the newcomers coming in, the bounce house is going to be an even bigger travel spot.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about what came in and out. I think the main guy when you're looking at this roster, why potentially you could be high on these Knights is at the quarterback position with John Rhys Plumlee in the second year of this Gus Malzahn system. By the way, Gus Malzahn, I should point out, 18-9 in his 2 years at UCF. Year number 3, they've gotten better each year in the American, 5-3, then 6-2, a step up. What do you think of this roster, Rush, in terms of what came in and out of the portal? Is there a specific position that you like better than others?
I like that if Plumlee it comes down to him and what we were saying. And Troy's brought this up earlier. I think this roster comes down to one person, and shocker, it's the quarterback. But can he? I mean, this guy's a dual threat machine. This guy he can probably single-handedly get you 2 or 3 extra wins. And we saw on last year's schedule what happens when he goes down. You end up losing a game to like Navy, but you have him in a game ready to go. He'll will himself to those extra 2 or 3 wins. So I think, of course, there's other great pieces around him and on this roster, and you're led by a great coach, but can he stay in every game? And if he does, I mean, maybe we are talking about the over here, Troy.
He should be trying to get an NIL deal with Minute Rice, even though it's spelled RHYS, because there should be some kind of stipulation in there for any drive that they score a touchdown in under 1 minute. They should call it the Minute Rice. But the biggest thing that sticks out to me in the transfer portal is they lose Jeremiah John Baptiste, and that's the best player on the team from last year, even better than John Rhys Plumlee. Him going to Ole Miss, that stinks. I mean, you can't replace that, and you're going to be looking for probably 3 people to replace the production of Jeremiah John Baptiste. And I think moving up to the Big 12 and having a week-to-week grind, that's going to hurt way more than how much John Rhys Plumlee is going to be able to help. And for me, that's what makes me lean on the under. Like, I know Plumlee is going to produce. I know there's weeks where he has a highlight tape that's 3 or 4 minutes long because he throws for 380 yards and runs like 103 and 4 or 5 touchdowns in a game. But that defense is going to get shredded.
Yeah.
Yeah. One of my bigger concerns is the 3 transfers on the offensive line. How do they mesh? But I like the continuity at the skills position with Javon Baker, Kobe Hudson, Xavier Townsend. I think and then in the backfield, RJ Harvey and Johnny Richardson. I think they have the high major pieces, Big 12 skill sets on the perimeter. It's whether they can protect Plumlee, back to what Russ said, of keeping him healthy. And then, the defense is still out there to be determined as well, because they struggled to get stops, especially against Tulane last year. That's why they weren't able to win the American. So, and they're going to be playing big boys in the Big 12. But we're going to dive into the schedule here. But first, one last time, I got to talk about the Parlay Play, because we are brought to you by the Parlay Plays, and it is a great way to get down on your favorite parlayed player props. Football season is right around the corner, and the Parlay Play will have all your favorite props. Hey, the Parlay Play is available in tons of states, including California and Texas, for you UCF fans when you visit all those Texas schools, plus our good friends up north in Canada. And when you sign up with our code, you'll get a sweet bonus to get started. A Parlay Play I like kind of looking at some of those overs on Plumlee this year. So check out the player props with Plumlee, parlay, maybe with the over on the win total if you think they can beat Boise like we're talking about. So go over there, head over to parlayplay.io and use the promo code SGP for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That is the parlayplay.io promo code SGP. And we are back on the Big 12 College Experience, talking UCF Knights inaugural year in the Big 12. All righty here. Let's get into the schedule. So initially, I don't know, man. I really don't have a lean. I may lean over 7-5, but that's initial lean. But we're diving into it. They're going to be, yes. They're playing on a Thursday night to start the year, August the 31st on FS1. Spotlight game. They're going to beat Kent State by about 100 because their whole team's gone. Do we all have this as a win?
Yes.
Because Sean Lewis, the head coach there, I think it's Sean Lewis. I know his last name's Lewis, is the offensive coordinator for Dion at Colorado. And all the players left the portal, so that should be
That's right. I forgot, like, the head coach left to go be Dion's assistant. That was one of the weirdest. Yeah, that's right. I forgot that was Kent State. Yeah, Kent State's. Yeah, they're done.
They're going to whack them. So that gets us to the game that we've been talking about. This kind of the pivotal, and we see this so much with the Big 12 where they actually play 9 non-conference games, unlike the fucking SEC who plays 8 and then they play 2 FCS. It feels like this is the game, kind of like a lot of these other Big 12 teams in week 2, where you pencil that in and be like, if we can get this one, we can really have a chance to go win 8-9 games. They got to go to Boise. This is a rematch of a game a couple years ago that UCF was able to grind out at the Bounce House, but this is not at the Bounce House. This is on the blue turf. Rush, lead it off. Where are you leaning here?
It goes back to my theory of I think this game decides whether UCF hits the under or over for the year. It's 6.5 is perfectly placed. This game's at Boise. You're right. That game 2 years ago was incredible. I think there's something we've talked about it. A theme that we continue to talk about is home teams, especially in college football, especially when it's 18 to 23-year-olds, especially when you're going from Orlando all the way to Boise. This is gonna be a loss for UCF, and I have them at 1-1 after this game. I think Boise State pulls away.
See, I have this one as a straight up toss up. Even on the road, I have it as a 50-50 down the middle. And if there's one thing that I've learned from college football, it's that the better quarterback wins about 95% of the time. And I wanted to give this one a loss to UCF, but I think having that much time to prepare, I mean, they're not worried much about Kent State, and you really don't have to worry about it being a look-ahead spot. They're going to be preparing for Boise. They're already doing it right now. I think they go to Boise and win this game.
They'll need to.
Yeah,
I said earlier, I lean the under just looking at the schedule, but I think they go to Boise and win this.
Boise's only lost like 7 games on that blue turf. I'm gonna say Boise wins by field goal. But I'm with you, Troy. This is a true toss-up game. They do have the better quarterback, but it's hard for me to bet against Boise getting it done at home. So composite, we got it at 1-1. Villanova, the Wildcats are coming in. This is going to be another drill spot. We all got this as a blowout win.
Yeah, I think composite, we're 2-1.
Yep.
Yeah, this isn't basketball, right?
Yeah, no. All right, so that gets us to the Big 12 opener, and they did not draw a cupcake because they got to go to the defending champion, Kansas State Wildcats. Whew. Any chance to go on the road and the Little Apple and get a win here, Rush?
Well, there's always a chance. I just feel like this UCF team this year is going to be its first year in the Big 12. I think it's going to be kind of one of those teams that, wins their home games and loses their away games. Just kind of that 6-6-ish. They'll show flashes. They'll be in some games that maybe people say they shouldn't be, but it feels like if there's one team in the Big 12, if you were to say, Rush, what is the one team that wins all their home games and loses all their away games? I would say UCF. I'll take this as a loss to the defending Big 12 champion, Kansas State Wildcats.
Now, the reason why we all like Kansas State is their continuity, and a lot has to do with returning their quarterback. Well, UCF does that as well. I don't think they go to Kansas State and win this game, but I think they lose this like the last drive of the game, whether it's a touchdown or a field goal or something like that. I think if you get given like 4.5 for UCF, you take that. I think
I would
3 points.
I would probably project that spread. I would say
K-State
probably minus
6.
6.5.
Yeah,
I was thinking 5. I was thinking 5.5.
All of those, I think you would take for UCF. I don't think Kansas State wins this game in a blowout. Just the hype of finally being in the Big 12 for UCF. It doesn't really draw too much out of Kansas State to like prove that they don't belong from UCF, because we already know that UCF's program is good enough to be in a Power 5 conference. I think this one is a grinder. And because of that, I think Kansas State wins, but I think this is a grinder out game.
I think most games UCF's going to be in is going to be a grinder. I think a lot of teams are going to
think they'll get blown and they'll blow out other teams a lot.
Oh, of course. I mean, that's going to happen. But that's why I said most games, not all games. But I think the thing is some teams are going to have the mentality with UCF like, oh, this is one of the new teams coming in. You know, they may take it a little lighter. Next thing you know, that's like it's the fourth quarter and it's a 3-point game. And the other team's like, oh, I guess, we got to figure this out now. I think UCF is going to be that team this year.
I'm seeing eye to eye with you guys. I think it's a close game. I think you look to take the points if that thing's around 6-7 points. So yeah, we all got them at 2-2. The Big 12 opener, they got the Baylor Bears coming to town. Sick 'em. Here, I'll go to you first, Troy, because you are a Baylor fan and a UCF fan. What do you think here, Troy?
This is going to be a welcome to the Big 12 game. The first half, UCF is going to be amped. They're going to be pumped. They get to host a Big 12 conference game at the Bounce House for their first time. And the second half is going to show you why they might be the class of the Big 12 this year. I know John Rhys Plumlee is better than Blake Shapen, but there's a part of me that would take Blake Shapen over him to be the quarterback of my college football team. The mistakes don't really, when the mistakes occur, they're complete like brain farts from Shapen. When the mistakes occur from John Rhys Plumlee, he's just out there trying to make plays every single play. I think Shapen understands there's a few times where you can't make a play now. And a few of those are going to come back, and Baylor is going to win this game on the road at the Bounce House with the same TCU fire drill field goal kick.
Damn.
They're going to have the last drive.
It's going to be the reverse.
They're going to have the last drive in a tie game, and the difference is going to be UCF turns the ball over. Baylor only has a few minutes left, and Shapen understands we get to the 30, we get to the 28-yard line. Let's just kick.
For me, Baylor's been like, it seems like the team that no one's talking about all year. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm going to ride Baylor this year. I agree with the setup. Everything you said there, Troy. This could be this could be a 21-7 UCF going into halftime winning this thing. But next thing you know, Baylor starts getting it close into the third quarter. There's that stupid turnover, Plumlee fumbles the ball. Baylor picks it up. And next thing you know, Baylor's walking off with a field goal. And you're like, how did UCF lose that game? But I agree. I think Baylor's the dark horse this year. And I think they win this game to move UCF to 2-3.
UCF fans, I got you. You're going to drill Baylor here. You know why? Because Baylor's coming off Texas. They're going to beat the Longhorns in the final game in Waco. And they got their other rival on deck at Texas Tech. So I got UCF winning, but as a group, we have it as a loss. All right, so we got them at 0-2 composite. I got them at 3-2. You guys got them at 2-3 overall. At Kansas, the Jayhawks.
I have them at 3-2 right here.
Yes. Sorry, you had them beating Boise. Yep. All right, so rushes them at 2-3.
Mm-hmm.
At KU. On the Kansas pod, we had the Jayhawks winning. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
I'm trying to remember if I might be Benedicting myself.
I think compositely we did. Ryan,
composite we did because I have it. Yeah, I have it right here.
I picked them. Yeah.
I don't know if I did.
There's a little bit of accountability on this show.
Well, you can Benedict by just making a pick.
So I'll leave it like this, and this is what we've talked about. The problem with picking individual games. We could mean it as kind of groups or records. I'm going to give UCF the win here and move them to 3-3.
I'm still keeping track of all of my picks from the season previews. So I'm getting to the point where I don't even have to make picks anymore. This is a Kansas victory. They have to go to Kansas, which sucks. But yeah, this CF team, I think, as good as they are compared to the other newcomers, is still going to get to see a nice welcome to the Big 12 conference schedule opening with a bunch of losses in a row. I've got Kansas winning this one. I think Kansas has the better quarterback in this matchup, and that's why.
Yeah, I'm with you. I have them winning as well. They got absolutely hosed on the schedule. 3 out of 4 on the road to start, including at Manhattan, at Lawrence, and at Norman. They didn't get like Houston or Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I got Kansas. Yeah. So as a group, we have them at 0-3. Then they got to go to Norman. Russ, do you have them beating the Sooners?
No, they won't win this game in Norman. They're going to lose to Oklahoma.
If you get any player props on Dylan Gabriel to play his old team in Norman, this is it. He's going to throw for 400 yards, 5 touchdowns, probably run for 90, run another touchdown in, and he's not coming out of the game either. That's going to be the best part about playing UCF for Oklahoma. Dylan Gabriel is going to play all but the last 2 or 3 drives of the game.
The other angle, too, I'm looking at Oklahoma. Oklahoma is a bye, and it's coming off the Texas game. So if Texas beats them again, Venables is going to motherfuck them for 2 straight weeks and have them ready to go out of that bye.
They both have buys.
Yeah, but I mean, like getting Oklahoma off a potential Texas loss coming off a bye.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, I mean, talk about another bad schedule spot.
I will say any other time a team loses, though, Ryan always talks about how they're definitely going to come back and win that game.
Oh yeah. That's the hugs in me. I've seen it.
But whenever it's Oklahoma or Texas, it doesn't matter. They're still going to lose.
Oh, fuck them both. Yeah, they're going to the SEC. So, oh god. So potentially they could be 0-4, maybe 1-3. So that means they're absolutely going to drill the Mountaineers at the Bounce House.
They are. Look, look.
This is a
if you want to show how non-biased I am,
spot for us, man.
Look. I live in Morgantown. Maybe they'll shut off my Wi-Fi here. They've done it before when I've made anti-West Virginia picks before. UCF is going to beat West Virginia in this game, no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, this is.
I hope I'm wrong, but no doubt in my mind.
This is one of those. If there's a lock on the schedule that you're looking for, this is the bet that you want to put in. Although, I think you'd actually rather watch UCF lose maybe at least to like Kansas State and Kansas, or Kansas State and Oklahoma or something like that before you put your bet in. But I mean, this one is a full-on lock. Even if, I mean, you could get West Virginia up to 8.5, and I would still be taking UCF with the point.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, we're all on the same page. UCF's going to get this done. So then they got to go to the Cincinnati Bearcats, rematch of some of those good American games. This is a tough spot because they got to go to the cold, and UCF has not been good in the cold, away from the sunshine.
Well, I mean, who knows how cold it's going to be? What is this, the weekend of the 4th? I mean, this time of year, like I heard someone's getting married that day and missing a West Virginia BYU game, and
we're gonna miss this game.
And apparently that person his wedding is preparing. It could be 75 degrees outside, or it could be 30 degrees outside. And I feel like when you get to this type of year, you shouldn't use weather as a prediction for that. I think like we said, the biggest question mark for UCF is their defense and how they're going to be. At a minimum, I can see UCF outscoring Cincinnati, and UCF will win this game.
Yeah, if there's one quarterback that I do not give a flying fuck about against the defense, it's Emory Jones. And
they may make UCF defense look great.
They might find there might be on the UCF defense that gets 3 sacks in one game, and you're looking at the end of the year like, damn, this guy got 7 sacks. No, he only got 4 sacks. He just tackled Emory Jones 3 times.
Some NFL scout's going to forget that, and he'll get drafted in the 7th round and then show up to training camp, be like, why did we draft him?
Yeah, I would also look at this one on the schedule as you could probably lock it in at UCFW. I know Cincy has had a lot of success at Nippert, but this is going to be a very bad Cincinnati year. I'm not even afraid to say that. They're going to be very, very bad.
So we got them composite as a win. I actually got Cincinnati winning. Satterfield swept Malzahn the last 2 years while he was at Louisville, including a win at the Bounce House last year. I'll go. Cincinnati protects home field, but as a group, we got them at 4 and 4. 4 and 5 headed into the last 3 with Gundy coming to town. What's up, Troy?
Can I ask you, on a scale of 0 to 1, with 1 being Malik Cunningham, where would you put Jones?
0.5. Malik Cunningham was Cunningham was way inconsistent last year.
That's Emory Jones'
like Anthony
game.
Richardson. He was flashy. Like there were times where Malik Cunningham, it's like, what are you doing? So
how many times has Emory Jones been flashy with his arm?
With his
Exactly.
arm?
He's not even half of Malik Cunningham, and this isn't me hyping up Malik Cunningham. This is me shitting on Emory Jones.
I'm telling you, I'm taking Cincinnati in this game. He's sweating last year.
I could win the same amount of games as Cincinnati quarterback as Emory Jones could.
Nah, Cincinnati won't be that bad. I mean, they're probably going to be at the bottom tier, but they're not going to go 2-10. They're still proud.
In any close game, they are going to be the one that makes the mistake.
I'm pulling up
because it's Emory Jones.
2 years ago in Florida, he threw for almost 3,000 yards. He's not terrible.
7 yard slants.
Hey, you can get 7 yard slants against UCF.
You think the Cincinnati skill position players are as good as the University of Florida skill position players?
I think UCF's defense isn't very good, so I think that Emory Jones could.
I agree with that, but like UCF, Florida wouldn't even play him.
UCF beat Florida that year
in a bowl
with
game.
21, right? Yeah, they beat him in the bowl game.
They offered Florida State. Florida State wouldn't play him in a home. They offered Florida. Florida wouldn't play him in a home and home.
So what's your point?
The state of Florida, this year, I guess Florida State's probably the best team in the state, but out of the state of Florida, I'm scared of UCF the most. And
I don't disagree. I was just saying I think Cincinnati could beat them at home at Nippert. That was my whole point. I don't think it's a gimme that UCF's going to go into Cincinnati and win. They don't drill anybody on the road.
That's a lock.
They don't drill anybody on the road.
I'm with you, Troy. It's a lock.
There's no. You guys are going down that week.
They're a big time. They're a big time conference team now. They're not a loser Power 5 trying to prove it.
They're a warm weather team going to the cold. That never goes well in November.
It may not be cold. You're counting on a factor that may not be.
Look up John Rhys Plumlee's
if it's 50 degrees, it's cold in Florida.
Was he still throwing 92? Was he still throwing 92 when it was cold?
Huh?
When in a cold college baseball game, was John Rhys Plumlee throwing 92?
I don't know.
Probably.
But what cold games did they win last year? They never win in the cold. Last time they went to Cincinnati, they lost by 50.
Cincinnati had a pretty different team with an NFL quarterback.
Yeah, they lost by 50.
To a guy that's going to start in the NFL this year.
They lost by 50. I mean, a guy
that's going to start in the NFL.
UCF never plays well in the cold. None of those Florida teams. That's why they always peter out in November and December. All right, let's move along. We got Gundy coming down to the bounce house. I actually think that this is a good spot for the Knights here. What do you guys think?
You going to this game, Troy?
Yeah, you got to go to this one.
I mean, this is a great matchup of like, which side would ON go for? I do think Oklahoma State wins this game. Not really any reason behind it other than I'm just trusting Gundy a little bit more late in the season compared to Gus Malzahn. That might be a mistake because Malzahn has actually played and coached in a major conference, but see, I think Oklahoma State actually goes down to the bounce house and wins.
I agree. I think Oklahoma State, I'm coming around to Oklahoma State with everything. You guys, they have the best schedule. Gundy, when they're underrated, they find a way to shine. I'm with Oklahoma State.
I
think moves them to 5-5.
With how poor UCF's defense is going to be, that really favors a scripted style team like Oklahoma State, that when we see this defensive alignment, we run this play. And I don't know. I guess by now we'll know if UCF's defense really is that bad or that good. But just looking at it off the top, I got to go with Oklahoma State.
So we got it as a loss. I actually got another disagreement. I got UCF because Oklahoma State's got Bedlam the week before. So I think I've been on record. I think that they're going to win that. That's their Super Bowl. And I think they dropped this game at Florida. So, but as a group, we got they got to win some games because we got them at 4-6. And they got to go to Lubbock. So do we have them missing a bowl here?
I don't have them beating Texas Tech, but my record's different than the collective record. I think they lose in Lubbock, but finish the season winning in Houston. I think they'll beat their American teams. I'm going 6-6. I think everything is based off of that Boise State game, week 2. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it.
See, this is going to be a whole Shug or whatever the fuck his name is against John Rhys Plumlee. That's the whole game is going to be determined on quarterback play, as most Texas Tech games are. I don't see UC's defense holding up in Lubbock. I think the crowd will probably play a little bit into it, and it might be a close game, but I got Tech winning this one. I've got them probably by a touchdown.
I do too. I do too, and so that's a loss. As a composite, that's 7. I got them at 5-6 too, but our composite's been lowered because a lot of these games just been 2 out of 3 we had as a loss. Houston, the finale. Do we all have this as a win in the final game?
Yeah, they'll beat the American teams.
Yeah, I've got them beating Houston here.
Troy, what do you have them overall? I have them at 6-6 overall, so I lean to the under. This is the first under I've given
6-6
in the Big 12.
I have them 6-6 too.
So we unanimously all have them on the under. As a group, we actually met them at 5-7, but a lot of 50-50 games like we talked about. So
it's way more. I agree with the whole Boise State being the determinant factor on the over under as we look at the schedule from an outside perspective before the games even start. But if they can go to Kansas State and win that game on the road, everything could look completely different. If they beat Kansas State on the road, they're beating Baylor at home, and they're probably going on the road and beating Kansas, and that's going to turn them from 6-6 to 9-3.
Kansas State will be their redemption game, but it'll probably be easier to beat Boise State than it will Kansas. But weird things have happened. But that's what I'm saying. Is week 2 is we look at football. And we'll be like, oh, you get towards the end of the season. You're like, oh, should have won that game. We could have gone to a bowl. We should have done that. And then you always forget about those early games. And for me, that's, I think, what UCF is going to be in. And I think that blue turf is going to cause them some trouble.
What would you say the floor is, Troy, for this team and the ceiling?
I think
some of these games flip.
The floor for this team is they also lose to West Virginia and Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a 4-win team, maybe even a 3-win team, because I have them beating Boise. So if they were to, lose a 50-50 game on the road, this might really be the team that's got the biggest discrepancy in floor and ceiling, actually, because I just trust Jalen Daniels more than John Rhys Plumlee. I know John Rhys Plumlee is a baller, and he's played in the SEC and at different levels, and he competes in Division I baseball as well. They could, if they start 0-4 in the league, it could just be a train off the rails, to be completely honest. There's not like a guarantee that West Virginia doesn't go to the bounce house and sneak something stupid out, or like run the ball enough and win 17-14, just like Navy did last year.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
I think 2 things can be true here, Ryan, is I think Kansas, the preview we just did, can have the biggest floor to ceiling. But I think UCF can have the most 50-50 games. That's what I'm saying. And I think their floor to ceiling is 4-8 to 8-4.
It makes sense why they probably have the most 50-50 games, because they avoid Texas, they avoid TCU.
Mm-hmm.
Who else did they avoid? They avoid Iowa State, potentially could be the worst team in the league. So, I mean, they don't play BYU. So, a lot of the teams in that middle tier that they play, I kind of agree with Troy. 4-8, I think a ceiling, if they beat Boise and they protect all their home field and they sneak a road game out 9-3. But I mean, that's a tall task.
It's a high ceiling.
They got they got how many home games?
They have high fans.
They got 5 home games. So it's, I mean, but they gotta win that Boise game if they got any chance at it and beat Baylor. So
do you have a this is UCF unrelated, an Iowa State update.
Oh, yeah,
Spencer Sanders has been contacted by Matt Campbell.
So we tease that the other day? I can't even remember.
We did.
Yeah. Yes.
We said, what if he went back to Iowa State?
Yeah. He would fit in. He turns it over.
He's way better than Hunter Deckers. The biggest problem Spencer Sanders has is throwing interceptions. The biggest problem Hunter Deckers has, throwing interceptions. The ceiling between the two is not even comparable. There are games that Spencer Sanders can win on his own. That would change everything. If he were to transfer to Iowa State, man.
Isn't that the best, doing previews and like everything just gets turned around and it's just I mean, let's just play the games.
even Colby and I teased him going to Iowa State a month and a half ago when I was doing the Baylor preview. Got to look out for this guy. I said,
no doubt.
There's a chance that Oklahoma State sees Alan Bowman and decides, let's just get Spencer Sanders back. Now, very unlikely, but I then said, there's a team like Iowa State that has a guy that throws as many interceptions as Spencer Sanders, doesn't have nearly as much experience. Man, I see that as a really good fit. He's not going to play in the NFL, so he might as well get, one last year.
The one transfer portal Iowa State does, they get Sanders.
Well, yeah, I mean, they only use it when they absolutely need it, and they actually are in need. So, all right, guys. Well, we are halfway done with the previews. I said next up, last episode, Oklahoma State. I skipped UCF. This is UCF. Next up, Oklahoma State Cowboys and Mike Gundy. But before we get up on out of here, Rush, tell everybody where to find you.
At Rambling Rush on Twitter and Instagram. And for the more West Virginia show Ryan and I do, at Ryan and Rush Show, Twitter and Instagram as well. Please subscribe on YouTube as well. Thanks for all the support, everyone.
You guys can find me at Troy Chewning on my Twitter or at Nats Park in real life. Sometimes at Capital One Arena as well. But I think this is going to be the year that I finally make my glorious return to FedEx Field, Ryan. I think there's got to be a chance that we all go to a game, right?
Of course.
It makes one of us. Not till they rename it the Redskins, I'm not going back. So, yeah, you guys can find me at Moneyline_Mac. I'll be signing the petition to bring back the Redskins.
Already
at OAN Mac.
Yeah, there you go. Shout out to Mike Gundy. You're up next. Good luck, everybody. Let it ride.